All right, go.
Yeah, 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it.
Yeah, 5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. And we will leave you with a... I can't do it. We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it, and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
5, 4, 3.
That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks again for watching. We'll leave you with Sting and a cut off his new album. Take it away.
Just do it! Don't let your dream yesterday set tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it!
Thank you. Thank you. You know, now more than ever, it's essential for San Diego film community to embrace and celebrate diversity. It enriches our films, providing a deeper look at the understanding of the cultures around the world. And it's important for us to focus on the groups of people so they can share their stories. This award goes to a director, producer, and writer who has demonstrated excellence in this category. He is advancing and supporting the industry in our city through all ways, be advocating for diversity on and off the screen. Please welcome to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, Luis Martinez.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. 2 a.m. burrito in the house.
All right, you're going back. You're going to standing. Okay. All right. Are you intimidating me?
It's about to die, so I had to.
All right. You know what? I got a standing desk too, Jace. I can stand up too. Think you're cool? Think I can't do a stream standing up, Jace?
Hey, what's going on? It's your man Julito McCullum from HBO's The Wire. Some people say it's the greatest TV show ever, but you are watching Fireside Chats with the homie Big Chief Burrito.
Oh! What is up, everybody? It is your boy Lou Martinez, aka Big Chief Burrito, live with you on a Tuesday. Fireside Chats with Big Chief Burrito, also known as the 2 a.m. Burrito Podcast. We're going to do a little Ed Wood Film School today, kicking off the new year, back at it, creating content every week this year with different podcast streams. Got a lot of cool guests lined up. Hope everybody's having a happy new year, 2020 Part 2, or 2022 as they're calling it. Happy New Year, Liz. Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to be talking about indie filmmaking. Today we're talking about a local filmmaker that whose work I've been following for a couple of years, and I've seen enhance his craft, and sort of start getting really feeling himself, sort of in terms of like his production and stuff like that. We're going to be talking a little bit about some local stuff as well. I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, which is Mestizo Coffee. If you love coffee but don't like paying rich white people to drink it, why don't you try a Latin X branded brand, Mestizo, top shelf, Mexican flow. They have all kinds of different coffee, chocolate. I'm drinking right now the 420 Colombian, single origin, organically, fair trade, all that good stuff. The homie Big Brown Dad in LA, his company, they've been so nice to be a sponsor on the show. Use code Big Chief, get 10% off. If you are, I used to be a Keurig slut. I got coffee shame for my coffee drinking habits. So now I got to drink the good stuff. So Mestizo Coffee, thank you for being a sponsor of the show. Use the code Big Chief for 10% off. Also, local bar owner at Bar Brew here in Chula Vista, Alex McDaniel's having some issues. They're trying to raise money because they're trying to kick them out of their establishment on 3rd Avenue. If you know anything about San Diego, Chula Vista, 3rd Avenue is starting to pop right now. And they are trying to save money so that they can buy the building outright, because they've been getting some hate because of their political stances. Alex is a cool guy. I've met him. Brew Bar is a cool place. A lot of local filmmakers do there. So go to, if you are inclined, got a couple of bucks, save the Brew Bar here. It's a local thing for Chula Vista. Just look for Save Brew Bar on GoFundMe and you'll be able to find that. All right. That being said, New Year, same Lou. What are your New Year's resolution? If you have some that you've already broke them, put them in the chat right now. If you have any questions regarding indie filmmaking, me and Marco Westwood Gonzales are about to jump into it. So let's get him on from Westwood Films. Mr. Marco Westwood Gonzales. Thanks for coming on the show, man.
What up? Thanks for having me, man.
All right, if you're gonna do the cool voice, I'm gonna have to do a cooler voice then. Right.
I'm gonna have to
We're gonna have to have a cool off. So Marco, I've been watching because like I said, we talked a little bit before we went on stream. Directors, filmmakers at the indie level, sometimes they don't get a chance to connect or collaborate together because they're each at the top of their own sort of independent pyramid of workings. As an indie filmmaker, you're producer, editor, director, you're doing everything, you're putting movies together. So it's kind of hard for people like me and you to sort of meet, collaborate on any major level unless it's like a paid gig and one of us is taking a different position. You know what I mean? But we have had actors that have crossed, work with you, work with me. John Vasquez, Avon, who's joining the cast. Thanks for coming in. Westwood Films, Avon. Although we do remember that Avon got his start in a bit part on Slapworthy, one of my films. So I'm just putting it out there. But you know, what is it that keeps you on this indie filmmaking journey? Because I know it's difficult, man. So what is it that keeps you going?
Honestly, man, it's just I just have so much love for filmmaking, and for good or bad, it's all I want to do. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of in this place up here where this mindset where it's like I got no choice but to make it. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain that. I want to make movies till I'm in the grave, man.
No, I completely
you understand that.
I understand that. I've said this a couple of times, but I read something, I think it was on Twitter or something, when it was like, you know, there's 6 to 8 billion people in the world. If you're one of the few thousand that walks around, you know, thinking I need to create or I need to make films, then you should do that, because not everybody walks around with that feeling. No. You know. And I've walked around with that feeling since I was 7, 8 years old, where I had ideas for scenes and movies and stuff like that. And I also want to. This is my art. This is what I'll be doing forever. You know, whether I get paid for it or not. You know, like I told filmmakers in the past, you can give me money to make this movie, or I'll figure out a way to make it myself. But it's getting done. Yeah. It's getting done. So I totally understand that. But when did the bug hit you? Did you start off like writing? Did you start off like acting in plays? When did you start consuming films and start thinking about becoming, like, focusing on that?
I don't know if I can remember an exact age, but when I was a kid, I think I kind of used to draw. I'm not very good, but I used to draw. I was a kid. I didn't think too much about the quality of it. But I think I wanted to do like cartoons or something. So I had a lot of stories. So maybe as a writer, because I just had stories I wanted to tell and characters I wanted to create. Um, and then as I got older, I started becoming more and more interested in movies and discovering all these great directors and works and really like diving into that. And I definitely owe big thanks to my cousin Richie, who you can see in a bunch of my stuff, because actually he started making movies and I would come out in them. And then I ended up becoming the movie guy. It's kind of funny how that happened.
So what you really wanted to do was direct.
Yeah, I guess so. Ultimately, I mean, now I'm sitting here like that's what I want to do because I write out of necessity. I know you know about that too. It's out of necessity, right? We have stories we want to tell that only we can tell. But I kind of hate writing, so fucking sucks.
All right, okay. I mean,
there's good things about it, but it's hard. Is what I'm trying to say.
no, absolutely, and I feel that one of the things that makes independent filmmakers suffer is they shoot a second or third draft instead of a fifth, sixth, and seventh draft of a story. Yeah. So I think that hatred of writing sometimes for the lower people is like, yeah, I wrote it. People were like, oh, it's good. Yeah, but anybody, do you find, I mean, because, okay, this is something that I've had to struggle with as a director, is figuring out who's kissing your ass and who's telling you shit for real. Because let's say you're doing a film competition and it's your job to write the script and you show up and the actor that you wrote a big part for is like, man, I love the script. And you don't know if they're telling you that because they actually enjoy the script or it's because they have a paragraph and a half and they're like, I get to do that. Or when you meet an actress or an actor or something like that, and they're like, oh my God, you're so awesome. I love your work. And you don't know if it's honest or it's because they're greasing you up because they want you to consider them for a role. But do you ever sort of find yourself having to check yourself because of like that sort of fake praise?
I know exactly. I mean, I know what you mean. As far as those kinds of people, sometimes you can't tell right away, right? You don't know if they're just happy to have a role because we're all looking for opportunities, which is great. But definitely with the people I've worked with more and more, we kind of develop that relationship where we're going to be more honest about that, me about their acting and, them towards me about whether it's my directing or something I wrote. But I was bad about that too. Going back to the talking about shooting the second, third drafts. I mean, shit, I shot a bunch of movies first drafts, man. It's just like I'm ready to go because I just want to make things.
I've been there, and then usually that's like for 48s or 70 for competitions and stuff like that. You really can't get more than a second draft in. You know what I mean? But
definitely not for that.
But I think
that one time, so yeah.
You did it once. It was enough for you, right?
No, I mean it was fun. It was fun. Don't get me wrong.
It is fun. As a team building exercise, it's fun, but there is also, and this is a rant that I've done before, but there is also a certain segment of filmmakers, usually locals, that craft their entire filmmaking year around the competition. Because, I think the reason they do that is because they can ask everybody to work for free. So it's like,
so they have a lot of resources that they end up pouring in, and then.
Yeah. So it's like it's usually like, hey, you can't. Yeah, I can't pay you. It's a competition. Sorry. I go, okay, all right. What was the first sort of film or filmography that you obsessed over when you were younger? Like a movie you popped in over and over in the VCR or something like that.
I mean, when I was in high school and I was really starting to get into all this, really, really dive into filmographies like that. I mean, it was a lot of the 90s guys like Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez, right? And Kevin Smith and all that. And then I started working backwards. I started getting into Scorsese and Coppola, the 70s guys especially.
Any particular genre or just sort of looking at the main pieces from those eras?
Man, a lot of crime. Definitely a lot of crime stuff. I like all kinds of genres, but I'm definitely very into crime for some reason. Like Taxi Driver has always been a big one for me, big favorite of mine. I go back to it for multiple reasons.
We're talking with Marco Westwood Gonzales from Westwood Films. You guys can follow his channel. Just go to youtube.com/Westwood Films, and you can see the trailer for Life After Death. You can see a series of his films here. You can tell I'm already subscribed, and go on down there and give him a like. Follow this guy. I almost called you a kid. Sorry. And and check out some of the stuff. The stuff that sort of got me about your evolution as a filmmaker was, because you've been on my radar, because a couple of the actors I was in were in some of your projects. John was in a vampire movie that you did. Yeah, and then Avon also in some of your other more recent stuff. So I kind of peripherally, I was like, oh, this is a filmmaker, local to San Diego, cool logo, indie sort of aesthetic. He seems to have a good grasp of the visual language of cinema, and
I'll take it.
I felt like I understood where you were coming from as a filmmaker, but, and I think I don't want this to sound like a negative, but I didn't feel you were all the way there. Like it wasn't like I wasn't like, whoa, I was like, I was more like, I get it. I can see where he's coming from. I can see what he's trying to do. He's kind of influenced by this and this, and he's really trying to sort of, use an established visual language that we have from these various time periods and filmmakers, and he's sort of, not borrowing, but because it's like saying you can't draw a cubist painting without somebody saying, oh, you're trying to be Picasso. No, Picasso and the cubist created a cubist style, and now people can use it and sort of add on to it. So there's a visual language of cinema, and there's people that use it well. And I felt that you were using that language and sort of getting your point across, and I could see how you were growing as a filmmaker. But I felt certain elements in different films, whether the scripting or the edit or the visuals, it wasn't all the way there. I feel like with your latest film, Life After Death, you really started to feel yourself, in as much as I felt like it felt like a 7th or 8th film. And I know you've done a bunch of shorts and stuff like that, but it felt like you've really progressed and sort of feel comfortable with your framing, with your visuals, with your aesthetics, and your composition. So when I saw that, because I've been following your process, like I was like, oh, let's see what this dude came up with now. Pop it on, and I can't look away. Like I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh, all right, this guy's feeling himself a little bit here. He's really upped his game, man. So the main reason that I wanted to bring to talk to you is, like we said, people like us don't get a chance to really collaborate or spend a lot of time together outside of networking events. And over the last 2 years, there's no such thing as a networking event, right? But to sort of give you props for that growth. And I'm sorry, this was like a 3-minute question, but how do you respond to that? And do you, looking at it after you're done with it, or while you were making it, were you sort of aware of that? Did you feel more comfortable? And how, if any different ways from your previous work did you approach this project?
Well, I'll say first of all that I definitely steal all the time, and I have no trouble admitting it, because take from the best, man. Everything's been done already. So you take the things that you like and that speak to you, and then you put your little twist on it. You come up with your story, that maybe references these things, but as long as it's all tied together thematically, and it makes, there's a reason for it, then to me, it's cool. Say okay. But yeah, I would say as far as Life After Death, I felt good while making it. I actually did feel like, all right, I think we're making a good movie. I think people are gonna like this. It's probably one of the few times that I felt that positive about it, especially coming out of COVID and like not, kind of just sitting on my ass and not really making anything. it felt like a really good way to come back. I don't know. I don't know what part of it exactly about the production that made that, made it happen that way. But I think it was just everything, the people that are involved. I mean, it's a pretty small crew. It's just me and Yvonne and Mike, and then Charlie Cisneros is my DP, and Melissa, our amazing actress, and a few other actors that popped out, but a couple people on music, but relatively like pretty small production. Like I've done bigger things, but part of my issue and the reason why this thing's only 15 minutes and why the next one's only going to be like 15 minutes, the next few shorts, is because I noticed a trend of my movies getting longer. And in some cases, the quality was getting better, but not all the way across, and that's because, like you're saying, we wear many hats at this level, right? Not having any money, trying to pull people, friends and stuff, doing what you can. And, you're kind of stretched thin. You're having to do a lot. And so I said, I need to sit down and it needs to be tighter and we need to focus on the quality of it. And so that's what I was after.
Yeah, well, I think even if you felt different as you were shooting it, like you said, if you felt more confident, I did notice that that you were probably stretching out your content past what was really there. Like I think with Serial Killer, I thought that was
falls apart.
It's an interesting concept, but I think that it's too long, like you said.
Yeah.
And if you had if that was a tight 20, I think it's a different
it would move. It would
but it's harder. It's hard at this level to be cold-blooded, especially if you have an actor that's in a scene and you're like, this scene doesn't work. But Joey came out and drove from Pasadena that day and he brought burritos. And then you're like, I don't want to cut this guy's scene. Do you ever feel that way in terms of it's a collaborative art? You have people that to take the time to come work with you. Do you ever feel bad when you have to cut their scene short or when you don't like what they do?
I do, but the more I do this, the less I feel bad and the reason is this, because at the end of the day, it has to serve the movie, right? Everyone has to get out of the way, including me, but I mean, to a degree, obviously I'm always going to be guiding that and running the show and stuff, but yeah, it's whatever's going to make the film better.
Do you allow an open conversation on set about ideas? Do you like to pre-plan and just no, we're doing this, this, and this, or are you open to freestyling and sort of getting input from crew and cast?
I'm somewhere in the middle. So I definitely, in terms of production, I'm definitely I'm already shot listed for certain things. I didn't storyboard Life After Death, but the one I'm working on now, Clint, I've storyboarded that. So sometimes I'm pretty prepared in that regard. But as far as the actors, improvising script, it depends. If they can come up with my kind of rule is if you can come up with something that's better than what's on the page, that's funnier, that's whatever,
right,
that sounds more natural, I'm totally cool with that. But if it doesn't, then just stick to the script. You know what I mean?
I usually give the actors, well, here's your take. Do what you want with this one.
Yeah.
But and you also have to treat it sort of like the writer's room, which is a cannibalistic environment. Which is if you're gonna put your balls out there or your lady balls, and you're gonna say, hey, I think we should do this, then you need to sell me. You need to you need to pitch it, and you need to sell me. And if you make me believe as filmmakers, as directors, we are ego driven, or else we wouldn't be a director, right? Sure. But if you're a good filmmaker, if you can keep your ego, keep your vision, but not be completely blinded by your vision, where you can still sort of see the perimeter and see. And do you agree?
Yeah, totally. And be open to ideas. You should be, because filmmaking, it is collaborative. It's totally collaborative. Now as I'm making more things and I'm getting older, I'm I don't need to write it. I'm okay with directing someone else's script, or I would like bigger crew and stuff like that eventually. That would be great. I would love to have people that are great at doing the things that that they do. I don't need to do everything.
Yeah, and also when you have actors that you trust that come to set or come to auditions, having made decisions about the character that are beyond the page, my approach is usually if they do, as long as it doesn't piss me off, then I'm usually gonna let I just like, all right, I have an idea, boss. Go ahead, show it to me. All right, boom,
Yeah.
boom, 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 and I just like, did this piss me off? I'm like, no, it did not. Okay, go with it. You know?
It's like okay, all right, let's see where this goes.
Let's see where this goes.
Yeah, definitely.
You jump around from genres. I mean, you did. You go from crime to like a Pineapple Express type comedy type deal. You're doing like sci-fi. You did a superhero short. You do some relationship and some crime stuff here. Is that you sort of trying to find where you fit in, or do you love to just dabble in different genres, and do you not want to be defined by one style or genre?
Yeah, I mean, well, like I said earlier, I like all kinds of movies. So ideally, I'd love to make all kinds of movies. I'm sure there'd be a majority where you could say a lot of my films share a lot of similar themes, or they all kind of like have similar subgenres or whatever crossing in between and stuff. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, I just think it's fun to try different things. It also just depends too. I'm sure you know, but it's just where you're at currently, right? Well, whatever the mood is, you may be listening to a certain song, and then that has a certain mood to it, and then that gives you an idea, and then that becomes that genre of movie, right? Because that fits whatever that story is that you're starting to come up with in your head.
Absolutely. We are live with, well, not if you're listening to this on the podcast. Thank you for listening on Spotify, Pandora, etc., iTunes. You are very valuable information. Thank you for listening to the 2 Weird podcast. We're live with Marco Westwood Gonzales, his new film, Life After Death. Should we watch the trailer?
Yeah, sure.
All right. And thank you for watching Adrian Romero. I've watched all this guy's movies. They are all awesome. Thank you for stopping by.
Thanks,
make sure that you're following us as well, 2M Burrito, and we're another team here. Life After Death trailer here. Let's let it roll. Oh, sorry, I'm clicking on the wrong thing.
I've lost my best friend. The person I was supposed to spend the rest of my life with. I don't know what's left to say, except everything.
Some time ago, your husband took out a life insurance policy with us. We don't provide your typical life insurance benefits. At Mycelium Core, we're a little unorthodox.
I don't know how to feel. I know it's him. At least, that's what they've told me. It looks like him, acts like him, feels and even smells like him. So why does he still feel like a stranger?
Nice. That looks like a good movie.
Yeah, that looks like a movie. That looks like a movie. Since you told me earlier when we were talking about some of your influences for this, I had to bust this one out. I had to bust this one out for you. When you and hey, spoiler alert, the movie's about life after death.
Yes.
When you think sci-fi, when you think sort of this, I just rewatched Arrival the other day, which I had sort of slept on a little bit. I had watched it, but I had half-assed watched it, and then I just kind of went back and really absorbed what was happening there, and I was like floored again. When you think sci-fi, John Carpenter, Dennis Villeneuve, Mystery Science Theater 3000. I'm sorry. What do you think are the elements that make a good indie sci-fi? because I think that even though the DSLR revolution leveled the playing field in terms of filmmaking capabilities, where you can get a look for film, advanced CGI, green screen stuff, it still can be done poorly. Whereas something like
a little out of our reach.
It's a little bit out of your reach. So
Yeah.
this is something that's sci-fi-ish, futuristic, but also centered in our reality. You didn't like show the cryogenic chambers or do a lot of stuff like that. It's more like matter of factly, is that a conscious writing to your strengths, writing to your abilities while trying to stay in that genre? And what do you think that the key factors for an indie filmmaker to do something sci-fi are?
Yes, the answer is yes. I had a few ideas, like originally at the end, right before you get the shot of her face at the door. I wanted to do a time lapse sequence where you would see the body like decomposing and then kind of recomposing in the lab with the mycelium. And I didn't know how to do it. We were like, could we pay someone to do stop motion or 2D animation or what? And we just
like the Fifth Element style when they
kind of
reproduce
like that cat, like that pod that she's in. Yeah, something like that.
Something that we would recreate her. You should have just copied that, just put that in there, and then
we
put like the actress's face on top of their body, like.
Oh, just fucking like edited it over, or superimpose. I mean,
superimpose it.
Yeah, so we ended up cutting it, but at the end of the day, it was also because we were like, well, there's ways we can do it, but we don't need to. It's not gonna. The story is strong enough. I felt, like you said, I felt confident enough, honestly, in the story and the rest of the filmmaking that not being there at the end wasn't gonna break the movie suddenly. If people got to that point, they've watched the whole movie and they're there. They're with the story already. And to answer your other question, I mean, at indie level, like guerrilla level, like me, I think you're just thinking conceptually. You can't do a bunch of crazy shit, so you're taking the concepts and trying to ground them, and that's what we did with this. Because if we had money, if this was a feature, if it was more sci-fi, you could have got all into the lab and like how all this stuff works, right? Could have got way into it. I mean, we thought about doing things like making it near future, like the mycelium core card being holographic, like coming out like a hologram and shit like that. But we're just like, it's not.
You'd have the evil protest group that's against the clones or whatever, and that's like trying to hunt them down and kill them or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. We couldn't get a crowd of people to fucking
pitchforks and whatnot. Only one life.
None of that was important to this story because it was so personal, between these two. This relationship. So ultimately it worked, just being more conceptual and focusing on the emotions.
Yeah, I didn't feel like that was missing. Like, like I said, when I started watching it, the first thing that got me about the film, Life After Death, go watch it on Marco's channel before he gets taken down, if he gets into some festivals. The first thing that struck me was your framing, because you were doing some like almost like Coen's brothers type like full frame shots and like you said, so you're inspired by a lot of classic language of cinema, borrow, steal, whatever you want to call it. But you were taking some shots there that if you don't do it right, look crappy in terms of composition, color, lighting, etc. And you were pulling it off. So I was like, ooh, good shot. Ooh, good shot. Ooh, good shot. Nice insert. Good shot. Nice edit. Okay. I like that movement. I really like the color correction here. So the whole time I was like, yes. You're ticking off boxes for me in terms of like your evolution and also on your style. So that's kind of why I thought that to me, watching 3 to 5 of your films leading up to this, and it really, it really impressed me, man. So I don't want to kind of lick your ass the whole night, but I do want. Let me get the taste of pennies out of my mouth.
No, but thank you. I really appreciate you saying that, man.
No, I appreciate
it, really, because that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm after, right? I mean, we all are. We're just trying to keep getting better and keep improving. Because I know I'm not there. I might never be there, but as long as I continue to work towards that, whatever that top level is, then that's good. As long as I'm making progress, I'm happy.
This industry is the people that are successful are the ones that don't quit. The majority of people that are unsuccessful in this industry is because they stop. Because, even if you're an actor or an actress, there's a need for actors of all ages, sizes, experiences, types. So, you might not get your shot at 25. You might be a character actor when you're 45. And as a
Yeah.
director, you might make indie films until you're 50 and then get hired on a TV show. Like, if you have talent and you improve and you put yourself out there, eventually you're gonna keep making films. And like you said, if this is your art and you want to keep making films till you die, then I think that's enough. The success will come or it won't come. But if you're doing
Yeah.
your best, if you're true to your art form, I think you're gonna be fine.
I think so. I mean, you hear it all the time, but it comes down to, yeah, there's talent and all that, but so it's luck. There's a little bit of everything, right? So right now, I can only do what I can do, which is continue to improve on my craft until hopefully, it gets taken to the right place or to the right person or whatever, and I get an opportunity, a bigger opportunity.
Absolutely.
So,
We're live with Marco Westwood Gonzales. Where did Westwood come from?
well, I was born in San Diego.
West, y'all.
Yeah. I mean, I would say raised, but I did a lot of moving around. I lived in Alaska when I was a baby for a year. I lived in Washington, been upstate New York. I'm in LA now. North Cali, I went to high school in San Jose. But at the end of the day, in between, all that, I was always coming back to San Diego, whether it was San Diego or Chula Vista, I was always coming back. And that's where I want to be. I don't want to live out here for forever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. What are you doing in LA?
I'm just trying to look for those opportunities, I guess.
Okay.
Basically, start making connections.
You're 2 feet in.
Yeah.
That's good, man. I think that a lot of people either make the move too early or too late, or they get scared. So, I mean, once you're there, you got to try to make the most of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's been tricky with given the times that we're in.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, I just made this movie, so it's like that's no excuse for me to not continue to work on my own shit. Meanwhile, while the world sorts itself.
While the world slowly burns.
Yeah.
We're live with Marco Westwood Gonzales. Go check out his channel. Go check out his new film. Check out his old films, but definitely check out. Don't just check out his old films. Check out Life After Death specifically.
Yeah.
If you guys have any questions, we got 2 indie filmmakers here in the house talking about independent filmmaking. And I want to remind you guys that if you are listening and watching today because of myself or Mr. Marco, to make sure that you follow us. I do create content on a weekly basis, interviews, podcasts. I'm a filmmaker myself. We are going to start production on our 3rd feature this year. So to follow and keep up with what we are doing, make sure you're following us across all platforms, facebook.com/2mburrito. If you are a Twitch person, go on twitch.tv/2mburrito. You can watch me there. And also, if you are on YouTube, and don't lie, you are obviously on YouTube, youtube.com/2mburrito, where you can find my old films, which some of them I'm also a little bit embarrassed of, but we got some cool stuff on there as well. Throw a shout out to the organizations that I work with, which are communitythroughhope.org, helping people in Chula Vista that are homeless or close to homeless, or that need food to survive. You can help them out by going to communitythroughhope.org. Arts for a Better Tomorrow, helping teenagers and kids in San Diego, Tijuana, Los Angeles, deal with trauma through the arts. Jose Yenke, my friend, is the leader of that organization, artsforabettertomorrow.org. And finally, wesavethepuppy.org, helping people with their medical cost. All right, let's do a promo and let's jump back into it. We are live, back in 2 seconds.
Hey, I'm John Allen.
Hey, Rick, you seen that show that's on social media? There's a lot of shows on social media, Morty. You're gonna have to narrow it down. 2 a.m. burrito. Oh yeah. I feel like a burrito at 2 a.m. Morty.
It's a show. You should watch it.
All right, live here again with Mr. Marco Westwood Gonzales. So, Life After Death, sci-fi. What's Clint about?
Clint Okay, well, to talk about Clint, I'm gonna go back to Life After Death just for a little bit.
Okay.
So Life After Death obviously deals with life and death, but it also deals with grief. It also deals with depression, suicide, things like that. Some darkness in us, right? It was about a certain kind of depression, and so I didn't feel like I totally said what I wanted to say about that. And so as we were in production on that movie, I think at the time I might have been rewatching some Eastwood stuff like Unforgiven, and I'm big on Paul Schrader, who wrote like Taxi Driver, and he's written a lot of stories about guys writing in journals, getting in their own heads, and bit psychological in that way. And so I wanted to do something like that. My DP on Life After Death, made the joke about I was already coming up with a story, an idea for Clint about this sort of loner who he's like a thief, but he doesn't really have anything going for him, He's kind of just sitting around stacking up money, doesn't really have any hobbies or things that he likes to do, and he's just kind of in this depression, that's growing, and he starts to combat it by smoking weed, by drinking, starting to use, and addiction starts to come into it. And so it's a different form of depression, I think, and this internal struggle that he has versus what I was doing Life After Death. And so I took all that inspiration and I kind of see this as a companion piece to Life After Death. Like they would make a good double feature because both share a few, like I said, they share those themes, but then they share a few other little things, psychological in that way. And so I want.
So it's not necessarily a continuation or a sequel, but a companion piece, something like that.
Yeah, thematically, but it's its own story. Yeah, it's its own movie.
Do you go ahead?
Share a few. So it's those themes, but it's like a crime. I could hear myself right now. A few.
Sorry, I had
logical in that way. You're just testing it, and
go ahead.
That's good to know the mic's working though.
Yeah, it'll pick it up quickly. Do you because we talk sometimes about the extended 2AM Burrito universe where everything sort of happens. What do you feel? Do you feel like there's like a Westwood universe that all these things are happening in, or how do you approach that sort of meta-ness of your films?
Some of my shorts do, mostly the older comedy stuff. Some of these later ones, not as much, but a lot of the different feature ideas that I've been working at, a lot of them kind of tend to fall into the same world. And that has to kind of do with the fact that a lot of them are very, for some reason, are kind of falling into the supernatural territory. And so I kind of have a world of features, ideas that I'm working out that exist within there, But none of them like overtly connect, like little things. Or sometimes they just exist. You can say they exist in the same world, but it might not be an actual direct reference.
Like the Tarantino, where Django is like Jules' great grandfather or something. Is that what the Tarantino thing is?
Yeah, Tarantino's is a little looser, right? Like it's not as whereas like Kevin Smith, it's just Jay and Silent Bob always pop up.
They always there.
Always.
What do you you're past the what I call the indie filmmakers. No matter what, your first 3 films are probably going to suck. When you start your first 3 films, there's going to be mistakes. There's going to be not everybody starts off with like Bottle Rocket or Rushmore or like they don't necessarily a lot of people don't knock out Hard 8 with their first movie and just sort of go from there. You're already past sort of that lumpy stage, and I've sort of given you your props and your evolution to a filmmaker to your current film. Why stay in the shorts instead of sort of focusing the energy from 2 to 3 shorts into a feature? In as much as obviously indie filmmakers have 2 roads, they can sort of focus and try to bust their ass and make a feature, put it out there, see if it gets response, or make a bunch of shorts that get into some festivals, you get some recognition, the agents come calling you. What's your thought process between where you're focusing your energy at this point in your career?
I'm somewhere in between, actually. I don't really talk a lot about my feature stuff because they don't exist so much off the page yet. You know what I mean? And most of them, it's because of this.
Right.
But like I've written, I worked out with a co-writer, worked out a few drafts this year or last year of a feature film version of Sunny Days, that vampire one. So I have that kicking around, and then right now
Shout out John Vasquez.
Shout out John. And so I'm working on this stuff, but it's just kind of I'm working out feature ideas that I kind of, truth be told, I just can't do on my own at this level, and also it wouldn't be right to, like, I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but like it would suffer. Like I'm not going to be able to make exactly the thing I want to make yet. So I'm trying to be a little patient and, just like I said, return, at least for this next year or whatever, return to making quality short films that can get me more more traction and get noticed. And then, hey, I have these feature scripts that are starting to stack up, and go out and start pitching. I mean, Sunny Days, I've started putting together like pitch packets and stuff like that. So I'm working on it.
All right, okay. I'm not being accusatory here, Marco.
No.
But I feel it's an important conversation to have because at the end of the day, we're filmmakers, and part of the reason that I started this podcast or continue this sort of, I needed to stay creative during the pandemic, and I was like, I need human, because I was quarantined here in my house for a long time. Me and my dad both had a lot of issues health wise. So I was like, I need to do something to stay sane, stay creative. I'm going to get another podcast starting, have these conversations, talk about it. But as it kept going, and in my association with the San Diego Latino Film Festival, I do feel that even though I'm not I haven't reached any level of fame, I've had some level of local recognition and a couple of and some festival love over the years. Not enough to be like, ooh, look at me. I'm, but enough that I can offer some guidance to up and coming filmmakers. And especially, I love meeting, Latino filmmakers, Latinx filmmakers from all parts of the world. I'm Colombian, Uruguayan, but I live in San Diego. I'm surrounded by Mexicans here in Chula Vista. But I do love promoting other filmmakers that I feel are, have a cool style, have a unique voice and stuff like that. So I think it's an important conversation for us to have specifically about the types of things that we run into, because you're in LA trying to make it. You're trying to get money for a feature. I'm trying to get money for a feature, and unfortunately, the industry is in a place where they're like, oh man, we wish there was more Latin talent out there, and and me and you are sitting here like, yeah,
hey, we're ready.
I mean, should I wear like a bright yellow shirt? Can you not see me? Like, what's going on here? So do you feel like there's like that performative sort of allyship and stuff like that happening where you're not getting, because I mean, not to be too political here, but if you had a white director from the suburbs with our filmography, they could pretty much walk into Netflix or Amazon tomorrow and or call their dad's friend from college or something and sort of get into these rooms where I was like, just get me into a room to pitch. Do you feel any of that there, and how does that affect you as a filmmaker?
I know it's there because that's just the reality of the world that we live in, right? And it will be there for a long time. It's not going away anytime soon, right?
Right.
But I mean, hopefully things are starting to slowly change. I don't know. I mean, it's a hard thing because then you do see filmmakers of color and stuff, like you're saying, that are chosen, right? That are found out, and you start to wonder, like who saw that, who saw who was the person that saw it or whatever, and so that took them to the next level. Because I've seen shorts that became features, and the shorts were like, they were cool, but they weren't, and I'll never be like, oh, I'm this good or I'm better than this or that, like, never. But But like you said, if we're at this level, we're confident enough to know that, hey, like we make good stuff, we make quality stuff, and I think we tell good personal stories, right? And we care about filmmaking. We're passionate, so why not us? And it's just because we haven't, been selected or whatever. Like
Full disclosure. I am like that. Think that I'm better, but that's
So you
because
do
I'm
you, man.
that's because I'm a narcissist. But that's neither here nor there. No, I mean,
Just like you said, we all got egos. All
you have
Americans.
to. I have to. Thanks for everybody that's stopped by here. Michael Xavier Romero,
Nice.
Monkey Cigarette Boot. I'm sure
That's
that
right.
means something.
Matter of fact, the death started with him.
Thank you for stopping by, Michael. Make sure that you guys leave a like, follow the channel, leave a comment. Have a question for myself or Marco, go ahead, drop it in the comment section. Hang out in the chat. Lurkers, as always, are welcome. One last question about that, and and this I get a lot of this now since I'm a curator and for the San Diego Latino Film Festival, who hopefully still live in person in March. I don't know. I don't have a word of whether it's going to be COVID postponed or go virtual. Hopefully, if we do postpone, it's just maybe to later in the spring or early summer, because I would love to do the festival in person this year.
Yeah.
But when you think about some of the Latinx, Latino filmmakers that make it, a lot of the time it's what's loosely called like immigration porn, or like sort of these stories about the worst parts of our culture. Obviously, I'm Colombian, so if I went to Netflix and I was like, well, I got this Pablo Escobar script, they might be like, ooh, come on in, But if I tell them I have a rom-com or a crime, or something else, they're like, stay in your lane. Right. But do you feel, and one of the other things that I like about your films is that even though you are telling your story and you're telling, and you are, and it's obviously from your point of view as a Latino, it's still a universal story. And I feel like we should be good enough to be able to get an episode of a TV show on Hulu. We should be good enough to get a chance to direct a crappy B movie somewhere. You know what I mean? And I feel like sometimes it's like they say in LA, you have to go out of your way not to hire Mexicans. There's no way that production positions, editing positions, writing positions, you have to literally go out of your way not to hire Mexican people in LA. So do you feel that pressure in terms of like wanting to stay true to what you want to tell as a filmmaker, your visions about the universal stories that you want to tell, versus steering into that that sort of like, oh, look at me, and this is like a story about single family and the fucking gangbangers and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Like, yeah, that they tend to be films that are stories that are so closely connected to the Latino experience or whatever it is. That's what you're talking about, right? Yeah. I don't. It's not that those kinds of stories don't interest me, but I guess I'm just trying to make movies like the movies that I like, right? Like at the end of the day, movies still entertain, right? They're still a form of entertainment. So I still want to make, for all the thought that goes into it and all the talk of themes and emotion and all these things, at the end of the day, I still want someone to be like, yeah, that was cool. That was a cool movie. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be dictated by that. And I also, I'm into what I'm into. So I'm not really interested in trying to, I guess, cater or, feel like I have to make a certain kind of thing to get noticed. I mean, I've been told to get, I should get on TikTok and shit like that. I'm like, I'm not a TikToker. I make movies.
Come on, Marco. We could get on there and go like this. We could do some of this and some dance moves and right.
Yeah, and we'll definitely get Netflix speak from that.
Yeah, the TikTok director. No, I completely understand what you're coming from, because I think that and this is the reason that maybe I haven't gotten into film festival, and also the reason I have gotten into film festival is that I don't make important films about immigration. I don't make important documentaries. I've made documentaries. I don't think I make the important films that's going to make you shed a tear or change your mind or go vote or something like that. I want to make the films that make you talk about them, that leave you, that so you can suspend disbelief for an hour and a half, that makes you laugh, that makes you think about something. Cinema is a powerful thing. I don't think every Latino filmmaker has to tell the same sad story to be able to make a film. Like I said, we should be able to simply tell stories that aren't directly tied to our culture, that feature our point of view as a filmmaker, where we can tell these and have a diverse cast. And I think you're exemplifying that in what you're doing. And I think we're very similar in that capacity, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Having seen some of your work, I agree. Because we both work with a good variety of people. We flip around genres. And I think we just like coming up with the stuff that's going to entertain us and that we're passionate about, whether it has anything quote unquote important to say or not,
Yeah, and I think you can tell from both of our filmographies that we both really like movies, in terms of the influences and styles and stuff like that. All right, Marco, I got a new segment that I'm doing, and it's called Generic Podcast Question, Wheel of Spinning. All right, so this is Generic Podcast Question, Wheel of Spinning here. I'm going to spin this wheel, and it's filled with generic podcast questions. I try not to ask generic podcast questions, but I figured I might ask at least once. So we're going to spin the wheel, and I'm going to ask you a generic podcast question. All right, you ready? All right, we're ready. We're going to spin the wheel here. We're spinning the
what it lands on.
Let's see what it is. All right. Tell me a joke.
I ain't got any jokes right now.
All right, let's spin it again. This is a new bit. I'm trying it out on you, Marco. I'm sorry. Let's see. Let's see. All right, Marco. If you could change one law, what would it be?
Oh, geez.
Sorry, guys. I'm testing out new bits here with my guest. I
I'm
apologize.
not good at freestyling here, man. I think we're going to talk politics.
I mean, you could always say legalize it.
True. Get it all across, right?
Full on.
For
Just
sure.
everything. Yeah. When the weed store starts looking like the Apple store, you need to start taking a bunch of people out of jail, and you need to start getting your shit together. We are live here. We are live with Marco Westwood Gonzales. We've talked about his filmography. We've talked about his film Life After Death, which is a sci-fi film inspired by a great bunch of classic sci-fi films in a classic, very beautifully shot. I think I said it was exquisitely shot when I saw it film. So go check it out. Go check out Westwood Films. And then this is a more refined category of bits here. This one is called Should I Buy This? Should I buy this hat? Now,
cool.
I got a lot of stuff that's like Aztec stuff. I'm in the area. I'm not Mexican or stuff like that, but I'm surrounded by it, and I love it's not often that I find Inca stuff, which is more South America.
Okay.
This is a hat that is the god Inti, which was an Inca god. It's a pretty cool hat. It's a company called Clink Room that does a lot of the hats that I buy. The only problem is that they're backed up with supply chain, so this hat won't get to me until July that I bought it. I did see a hat, and you should check this out in case it comes back. That might be perfect for you.
Yeah.
Check that out.
Oh, nice. Oh man, let me show you my hat.
Let me see. Is that similar to? Oh yeah. They might have taken. They might have taken that logo from you. Oh man, is that coming? Does that come in a 7 3/4?
I actually want to make a site with merch, but the site that I ended up on, I thought it was too expensive. I don't want people paying arm and a leg for my shit.
People are paying $52 for hats. I don't know about
that. Would be my biggest possible no. It's just that it's $50, and that's without shipping, right? Like, come on.
But if you spend $99, you get free shipping, so you can buy 2 hats. Yeah, so this one is out of production because they and you're still not getting it until July. This one I'm also waiting for this one. I already bought this one. This one's pretty dope. This one's pretty good because I'm a tourist, so I love that. Anyway, that has been should I buy this? Anyway, what is what are your feelings in terms of like, do you feel any like that you have to like each one teach one, like you have to leave something for younger filmmakers? Do you like having people on set that might not be super experienced but that want to watch? I mean, filmmaking is not a spectator sport, so when people say, "Hey, can I come to your set?" I'm like, "Yeah, you can come to my set, but I'm gonna put you to work."
Be ready to work.
Do you feel that way? How do you feel, or do you like to just kind of work with your tight crew?
No, I'm totally open, man. I like meeting new people and collaborating with new people for sure. So true, Appleweed Store, nice. Denver's in my new movie, Clint. Shout out to Denver.
Thanks for stopping by, Denver. Leave us a like on YouTube.
Shit, what are we talking about?
Marijuana. No, sorry. No, that's not this part of the segment. No, I mean in terms of just like I mean, because it's not like, you know, we're indie filmmakers, we're guerrilla filmmakers, but you still sort of feel like I should move a certain way.
Sure.
You know, do you feel like you want to move a certain way, you want to act a certain way so that you don't give others a bad name, stuff like that? Do you feel any of that kind of weight, or do you just kind of just like I'm me and fuck everything else?
What do you mean give others a bad name?
Well, I just think like I think there's a certain amount of pressure that people of color have when they're moving into these types of industries, where they're going to get maybe analyzed a little bit harder, and I feel like sometimes that goes with that weight of the types of stories that you should tell. I guess it's very similar to that. In that, do you ever feel that that type of pressure, or do you not let that enter your thoughts?
No, not at all. Honestly,
good, concise answer.
I remember the other thing though. It was about the crew.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Man, you know how many people I've taught how to run audio, just because I needed someone to run audio. Like, definitely happens. I'm totally open to teaching people things if it's the right time, given the context of the time that you have, right, to work on it and stuff.
If we're burning daylight, and you know,
I get someone that knows what they're doing. Like,
yeah, if it's 7 a.m, we just got here. I want to run the boom. Sure, why not? Let's set you up. We're almost done here. We're talking with Marco Westwood Gonzales. So you started off writing comic books. You know, the MCU hits you up, right? And they're like, okay, we have a Doctor Strange Disney show, all right, and we'd like you to come direct, 4 episodes. Or a different indie studio hits you up and they're like, hey, we're remaking Mean Streets. Which one do you take?
That's hard because no one should be remaking any Scorsese movies, but
you know they will eventually.
Oh yeah, for sure. They fucking remake everything. But I mean,
they're remaking Lost Boys, which pissed me off.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Who's making that?
Some idiots. Somebody who should know better.
That's hard because, like, if you ask if I take an MCU gig, like, yeah, of course I would. I'll take the opportunity. If I have preference between that and doing something that's closer to the kinds of stories I want to tell, movies I want to tell, I'll take my movies over MCU. But doing a remake of Mean Streets,
or maybe just like a Mean Streets sequel, or like something in that vein. Yeah.
Yes, for sure, I would do that. It's hard to give a yes on the remake but I also I understand it. Like, you're asking me that question, and I see filmmakers who are bringing back old franchises or whatever, and then you find out they're super passionate about it. So it's like, well, shit. If you were given that opportunity to dive into that, why wouldn't you? I guess
Yeah, I mean, if somebody was like, if somebody was like Lou, they set me down there like, all right, they're remaking Lost Boys. And then after I scream and shout and broke things in a room for a half an hour, they'd be like, all right, you calm down. And I'd be like, yeah. And they're like, but we want you to direct it. I would be like,
It changes it, right? It changes it.
I was like, if anybody could do justice to that movie, it could be me. You know, like something like that. I guess that's also the ego.
No, it
but
totally is. But then also, there's the flip side of that, right? Like, ooh, what if I'm the one that fucks this up?
yeah, I'm the guy that remade fucking Lost Boys, and it fucking sucked.
Shit.
But yeah. So I wanted to finish up our chat, talk a little bit about a couple of filmmaking topics, and then I got a bracket bit for you. But I did want to do a segment of something that I know it's full of bits, guys. If it's the first time, it's an interview, and then I do bits, and then it's a whole thing. But this part's called Ed Wood Film School. Back live with Marco Westwood Gonzales. His new film Life After Death is live on YouTube. Go check him out. Subscribe to his channel so you can keep up with his progress as a filmmaker. Quick little Ed Wood Film School segment here where we talk a little deep dive about filmmaking topics and filmographies. The question I wanted to pose to you, Marco, is because you've dabbled in a bunch of different sort of genre styles in your young career. Do you feel that early on in a filmmaker's career, you need to decide what type of director you want to be? Do you feel that once you decide what kind of director you are, it's something that you have to sort of stick to? And by that, I mean, the visual language of film, the well-established, you love Scorsese. I love Scorsese. Scorsese is God. Mm-hmm. But does that mean that I can never do a long, deep dissolve because I would be just borrowing, his move, or can I do it in the right way, but as long as I don't overdo it? I know we touched on this earlier, but specifically when it comes to filmmakers, what is your thought process there?
So how filmmakers use from other films?
Yeah.
Essentially. Well, even if you look at someone like Scorsese, most people think gangsters, right? Gangster movies. But he's made all kinds of movies. He's made a few movies about faith, about religion. He's done, he did Hugo. He's done all kinds of shit. A lot of these directors have. And in terms of them having a specific style, because there are filmmakers like Wes Anderson, for example. You're like, that fool, he never goes away from what he does, right? He has his lane and he's always going down that lane. And I guess if that's just what keeps speaking to him, that's probably why he's still doing it. Because at his level, I doubt he's worried, oh, if I do this other thing, people are going to trip on it. He can do whatever he wants, right? So I think some people find a lane and they decide that that's what they like, and some people like to move, like to switch lanes. And I don't think you have to decide early on. I think it's like most people in college. They don't know what the fuck they're gonna study. Mm-hmm. So if you think in terms of that, you're finding yourself. And so by trying all these different things, you're gonna be exploring, and you're gonna see the things that work for you and that don't. Yeah.
I got a Wes Anderson take, which is I'm not a fan. No, Bottle Rocket, Rushmore, the Royal Tenenbaums.
Is it that you don't like his later stuff?
I just feel that
he's too in his own.
I think that I get it. You're going left, you're going right. You're showing us these little motifs. It's kind of too cutesy for me, and I feel it's like he has too much freedom and too much money. Like Rushmore is a film made out of necessity, and out of indie spirit. Bottle Rocket is a guerrilla indie filmmaking,
more so, yeah.
Truly is. Tenenbaums, masterclass. But then after that, his films are almost indistinguishable, and I feel like if you are the director that I can most easily pick out by just watching 90 seconds of the movie that you are way too into yourself and way too into that style. I watched The French Dispatch and there were parts of it that I liked, but it was just like more of the same. Like I feel like he's playing with dollhouses and building these little elaborate things and making these little, So
what's funny is I'm totally with you. Actually, I like all his. I've seen all his movies. I like him some more than others, but I kind of felt similar watching French Dispatch. Like I liked it. It was pretty much a good movie. It was cool.
Yeah, it was good.
But there were times where I was like, it's starting to get in its own way. I feel like.
I think the thing that he's got going for him the most is that he gets incredibly talented people to be in this movie, and they raise the level with their performances because he's playing these little games for the cinema, and he just gets the fucking top dogs to play. So I feel like that's sort of where he shines the best. Where somebody like Paul Thomas Anderson, you can say Paul Thomas Anderson is like a Scorsese, Tarantino sort of hybrid, sort of, in his style, with his tracking shots and these things like that. But he also brings his own vision to the projects, and he sort of did develop his own style as he went along. Even though you can tell early on that he's doing Tarantino, he's doing Scorsese, he's borrowing freely from that established language of cinema. And then he's building upon that. And also, have you seen The Master? I would assume.
I love The Master.
Master is one of my favorite shots recently that I talk about all the time, is when Joaquin Phoenix is walking towards the boat the first time he jumps on the boat and he sees him, and it's that tracking shot back and forth between that rack focus back and forth from the boat where we see Philip Seymour Hoffman, and then we come back and it's just 50 yards, camera just tracking him as he walks there, and I'm just like, oh God, I got to change my fucking underwear after that. See that scene, I'm just like, behold, cinema. I love it.
Anyway, that's one of my favorite movies of his for sure. Like it's a top 3. PTA.
You know what I just watched? Yeah, it's
Licorice Pizza.
Not yet. I'm sorry that I know so much about it before watching it, because I would have liked to go into it without knowing about any of the controversy stuff. But I will watch it and try to have an open mind about it. I wasn't a big fan of the fan. Well, if you put something out and it's not perfectly clean, people are going to be mad about everything. So there's an issue. I guess they're mocking the Japanese character in the film, and there's also the kid's 15 and the girl's 21
in that area.
Yeah, the kid is 15 and the girl is 21, and it's like
more like it was the 70s.
So I think it's like. That's kind of thing. No, I just watched because I was talking to Sophia, my co-host, a while ago about kind of the quintessential films that I love, that I needed her to say, that I wanted her to see, and I went through like the basics, like Clerks, Heat, The Godfather, Rushmore, Basquiat, 13 Assassins. And then I just texted her today because I saw a different one, and I was like, man, Moneyball. I rewatched it today, and even though I'm not a huge Sorkin fan, because he reuses so much of his own dialogue, if you get tired and you want to see something funny,
he has a style,
just YouTube Sorkinisms, and you can see all the times during his career that he just repeats dialogue from previous shows. But Moneyball, I can rewatch that movie anytime because it's so good, it's so well written. Brad Pitt and old boys like. Awesome in it. Melissa Ann, thank you for stopping by. I believe that's your actress.
Oh, look who it is. What part of the filmmaking process do you enjoy the most?
Thanks for stopping by, Melissa. Make sure you leave us a like and follow us across the channel so you can keep up to date. Mr. Marco, question for you.
Well, Miss Ann, the answer would be it's between production and post. Editing is probably the most fun because the thing about production is that it's fun and that's where you want to be doing and that's where you want to be, but it's also it's the most stressful because you're checking the time, like did we get this, did we get that? And Melissa knows most of that was shot on a weekend. It almost kind of was like 48, dude. Like we filmed a lot.
Really?
House, yeah, in one weekend down in San Diego, actually, in Chula. This movie was mostly made in San Diego, actually, funnily enough. But I mean, so I love both production and post, but editing's not stressful and it's fun. You're just sitting here chilling,
Absolutely. Editing is fun. Day one, shot one. Absolutely nothing like it. Best feeling as a filmmaker. Day one, shot one. Or, I'm assuming, Melissa, since I'm also a filmmaker, you also wanted to ask me the question and not just Marco. I'm just assuming this, obviously. So day one, shot one. Best feeling for a filmmaker, which when you got all the shit, you wrote the script, you got everybody there, everybody showed up, you're lined up for you lined up for shot one, or yelling that's a wrap, and seeing people reacting to your film on a big screen. Those are I think, like, or when you render that final cut and you're like, this is it, this is how I want. Or when you're cutting back and forth and you make a cut in minute 8, but you have to go back and watch the whole movie just to see how it blends in with the entire movie. So you end up watching your movie 45 times.
The context of the rest.
Yeah. No, literally, you make a cut at the 8-minute mark, and then you're like, all right, let me see how this works, and then you just sit there, and you're like, okay. I'm gonna move it a half a second forward, and then you have to go, all right, okay, now I see it. Now it's there, right? But when you get it right, or when you make a mistake that works, and you cut something, or you move the music, and then you play it, and you're like, oh wait, no, this works. That's also a great moment for filmmakers.
For sure. I agree, man. There's lots of moments, really. That made me think of a question.
Go ahead.
For you, though, actually.
Go ahead.
Oh, turn the tables. No, I forgot it, actually.
You got my hopes up here. I was like, a question for me?
I was thinking about something else. So
It's not like I like to talk or pontificate, Marco.
Let me see. Where was it? Let me go back.
If it comes to you, just interrupt me. Don't worry about it. Well, this is kind of where we're getting close to the end here, Marco. Like I said, let me just recap. Marco Westwood Gonzales, independent filmmaker from San Diego, Chula Vista, but now currently in LA doing his thing. Make sure that you guys support his channel, Westwood Films. Make sure you check him out on the interwebs. He's got a cool ass logo, Westwood Films. And then while you're at it, if you get there, you can also check out the 2 a.m. Burrito YouTube channel. We're live. You can see us live.
Right there.
You can watch some of our other videos, my other interviews with other people, our reels, and other films as well. Unfortunately for filmmakers like us, social media following is going to be is Mom in the chat? we got Mom in the chat. Social media following, support from actors is going to be an important part. I try to make sure that I cross paths with people and that I'm real with people, that, because this is an industry of relationships, but really helping out local filmmakers, colleagues by supporting their films, supporting their projects, uplifting other people's voices, I think is an important fact. So I'm glad that I got a chance here to talk to you, sort of promote you, and just kind of have a chat about filmmaking, man. It's a good chat.
Yeah, man, I'm super appreciative that you had me on here. When you asked me, I was like, really? Cool.
You're like, let's do it. Because immediately, dude, I was floored. I was like, this guy's taking the next step as a filmmaker. Maybe my initial urge was to hate, but I suppressed that, pushed that down, pushed that all the way down, and instead I'm like, you know what? Let's celebrate each other. Let's uplift each other, and let's have a good conversation about filmmaking. Before I let you go, we have one more bit before we go, but I do want to remind everybody, if you are local to Chula Vista, the poster reveal for the San Diego Latino Film Festival is tomorrow. It's going to be a COVID-friendly event. Everybody's going to be masked up at Las Tres Catrinas right here in the Chula Vista Mall. I think it's like 7 p.m. or 6 p.m., something like that. Stop by. There's going to be free drink. They're going to reveal the poster. So if you guys are local to San Diego here in Chula Vista and want to come out and support, come on down. As I said earlier, the Brew Bar, also here in Chula Vista, and I am recording live from the Burrito Lounge here in beautiful Chula Vista, California. Save the Brew Bar, 3rd Avenue's own Brew Bar, is looking and needing help to stay afloat. They're trying to get their people are trying to kick them out of their location in Chula Vista, so want to check them out. If you love coffee but don't want to give Starbucks money, go to mestizo.coffee, our sponsor. They have the Fruit Bomb, they have the Chronic, the local sourced. It's Latino owned, Mexican American owned in LA. They get their single origin coffee beans from South America. They're basically all about Latino culture, hip hop, etc. Caffeinated. Check them out. And the last thing that we're going to do with you, Marco, before we let you go is we've talked about Scorsese. We've talked about your other influences. And that's coming up now because the last thing that I do with all my guests, let me find the clip for that, is something.
I got two quick things for you afterwards, if that's cool.
Yeah. That's fine. You can. Yeah. If you remember them, then that's perfect. We'll get it out. But my last bit for you, and then we'll let you ask whatever questions you want afterwards, is something that I like to call the bracket bit.
All right, boys and girls, you know what that sound means. It's time for bracket bit. Bracket bit. Bracket bit. Woo, 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 woo. Bracket bit. Bracket bit. Woo, 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 woo.
Fireside Chats.
Don't even act like you're not impressed by that, Marco.
You're still working that out, or you're like, what can I bracket bit?
Shout out the homie Kurt. I'm sorry about that. I told him I want a song for my bracket bit, and I want it to be like the Wayne's World.
Like it, yeah.
And he's like, can you like record it so I get an idea of what you want? So I recorded that in one take, and I sent it to him, and I was like this, and then he wrote the song to that, and then my homegirl Jovi wrote the backing vocals, and then they sent it back to me, and I was like, that's kind of perfect. Thank you very much. So the bracket bit is created to cause maximum pain. You are a Scorsese fan. We are aware that Scorsese is God. So this bracket for today is going to be Scorsese versus everyone.
Oh, shit.
I'm going to give you a Scorsese movie, and I'm going to give you another movie that either you like or I like, and you're going to tell me which moves on. Now, your thought process for this can be whatever you want. You can pick the movie that you think is better. Sometimes if you have a tough decision, I always ask, if you had 2 DVDs and you didn't have anything else to do and you had to pop one in, which one of them would you pop in? Which one would you rather direct? Whatever your methodology is, I just ask that you stick to the same methodology throughout the entire process.
Okay.
And we're going to get started. And you guys at home are welcome to play along. Let me know who wins in your bracket bit. Thanks, Lizzie. She loves it. Everybody loves bracket bit. Let's get started. All right. We got Goodfellas versus They Live.
You got to go Goodfellas.
You got to go. Ever since I remember, I've always wanted to be a gangster. And since we saved this for the end, if there's any of these films that you want to kind of expand upon to give us your answer, this is kind of the segment where we can talk about some of these movies that we didn't necessarily talk about during the segment, okay?
Okay.
All right, Goodfellas moves on. The Aviator, underrated Leonardo DiCaprio performance, or
100%. That's he should have won.
Versus an underrated, maybe because of the kind of drastic ending that they use for this, although Coen brothers don't give a fuck, A Serious Man.
I'd have to go Aviator, but A Serious Man is a movie that I like, that I'd like to rewatch. It's definitely an underappreciated Coen brothers movie.
It definitely has that. I mean, spoiler alert if you haven't seen The Serious Man by now. But in terms of the ending, the storms coming, and all these things, like I love when filmmakers are brave and they don't like paint everything by numbers for you. Liz says Aviator. Have you seen A Serious Man though? It is a good movie. It is it is a top 10 Coen brother for me.
Yeah,
but
it's
you're going Aviator, right?
It's just Aviator. It's the filmmaking from Scorsese, and then like you said, it's DiCaprio, man. I think that's one of his best, honestly.
All right, we got The Departed, The Wicked Departed, or Halloween.
It's hard.
But I don't know. Scorsese winning for The Departed would be if they gave you, if like, I don't know, him winning for The Departed. There's just something about him
He
winning
did
his
that.
Oscar. No, I'm saying,
Yeah,
but
okay.
the fact that he won his Oscar for Departed, when we're
Yeah.
going to talk about 8 movies that are clearly better than that.
I agree. Good
It's
movie
just-
though. Good fun movie. But
It's
I
a fun.
agree. You like it?
The symbolism is sort of so on point, and Nicholson is so over the top. It's just like it feels like, I know Scorsese does, it feels like he was doing drugs during this, but a lot of Scorsese movies feel like that though. But
it's got more relish than some of his other crime films.
I mean, all right, here's my hot take: Departed doesn't make my top 10 Scorsese movies.
I'd have to think about it. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of movies. Maybe not. I'm gonna go Halloween though, because I don't know if it's a better movie. No, maybe it is, but it's definitely it's important.
Carpenter.
Man. It's iconic.
I think that's a wise choice.
Yeah.
Dizzy says The Departed for her. Gangs of New York or The Big Lebowski?
Gangs of New York, good movie. I have to go Lebowski because
I think Lebowski's more classic.
It is. It's this cult movie, and it's one of those movies that definitely falls into that category of movies that you kind of discover when you're discovering movies, right? Like as a teenager and stuff, especially. So I definitely saw Lebowski in high school. I mean, I probably saw Gangs of New York then too, but Lebowski is just so weird and abstract. It's just a different kind of movie than you're used to.
Absolutely. Raging Bull or Arrival. Arrival is maybe a top 20 sci-fi for me at this point. It's probably moving up the list. I really, really enjoyed it on second time. Raging Bull is a fucking classic of cinema.
It is. That's why it's such a hard choice, man. You really
remember the bracket bit is created to cause maximum pain.
You're right, man. I'm feeling it. I'm hurting. Because I could honestly argue that Arrival is a modern sci-fi classic. Like, I think it has the makings.
Absolutely,
it's
absolutely,
it's
absolutely.
really, really strong. Yeah. Oh, okay. I love Raging Bull though. That's hard. I mean, you did say keep with the same ideology, right? I think
I mean, honestly, man. I said I create the rules. I create the bracket for scientific purposes. I say that to people as advice, but it is your bracket to solve. People change methodology all the time. Don't trip.
Want to go Raging Bull, but I think I'm gonna go Arrival.
You're gonna go Arrival. All right, that's an upset, but that speaks to Villeneuve
really
and talks to how, I mean, if you're putting Raging Bull against other boxing films or genre or period films, and you're putting Arrival against other sci-fi films, they're both pretty much going to be in that upper echelon. I think Arrival almost more. I think that you calling it a modern sci-fi classic is not out of the realm of possibilities. All right, we're going The Wolf of Wall Street. Or and this is one of my favorite films of the last 6 or 7 years, Hell or High Water, a modern Western, to say the least. Absolutely love that movie. But I absolutely love that movie. But Wolf of Wall Street, also a classic Leo Scorsese. You got Jonah Hill in there. You got Margot Robbie. We got
a bunch of people in that. Bernthal.
Come on, man.
It's
a very memeable movie too.
Wolf of Wall Street, yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta go Wolf of Wall Street, but I will shout out Taylor Sheridan. He's a really great writer. I saw a couple episodes of Yellowstone. I'm watching the 1883 show right now. It's pretty good.
Yeah, hard choice, Lizzie says, but Hell or High Water was amazing. I agree, Lizzie. Hell or High Water.
I'm going Wall Street though.
Hell or High Water is one of my favorite movies of the last several years. That's why I've included it here. But Wolf of Wall Street is not a bad choice. I'm sorry, I pressed the wrong one. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, shit, you
overwritten. No, I only override. I only override when there's two people and they each pick a different one. I'm the tiebreaker, but since you're the only guess right now, we're going Mean Streets, the movie that Marco is going to remake one day, or he's going to do the
remake?
No, the sequel that takes place in a Mean Streets universe, or True Grit, a Western but making Coen style, and you can use the Coens brothers or the original, or they can work as a tag team in this scenario here.
I mean, you see that man back there? I'm not a John Wayne guy. Mean Streets. Although I rewatched True Grit not too long ago, and it's a pretty good movie, man. It's great.
It's a good movie. Also, my favorite movie when they say change one word in a movie to asshole, and I always go and then somebody will say true asshole, and I'll say no, asshole grit is the much funnier choice.
That's better. That's a lot more creative.
It's a lot more creative. You can't take the low hanging fruit. That's like shooting the second draft of your script. All right. Casino or Young Guns?
Casino.
That's an easy one. But that teeny bopper Western phase in the late 80s with Young Guns and stuff like that. That was a good time. Oh, sorry. Shutter Island or The Thing?
Good movie. Shutter Island's a great movie, but The Thing is one of my favorite movies all time. And I mean, it's directly referenced in Life After Death, directly and indirectly used. But it's The Thing, man. I think it's one of the best sci-fi movies, one of the best horror movies. Just the feeling of dread, the dread and paranoia. It's going to be hard for that to not just win the whole thing, honestly.
The Thing is the thing. Well, this is why it's Scorsese versus everyone, man. Now, Shutter Island. Do I think Shutter Island is better than The Departed? No. Do I think? But Casino, Mean Streets, Wolf of Wall Street, Raging Bull, and Gangs of New York, I believe, all are. So that's already 7 movies that are better than his one that he won an Oscar for. So I guess what I'm saying is, I guess what I'm saying is that the Oscar, Leo, the only actor Scorsese likes, yeah, pretty much. I mean, once Leo said yes to Scorsese the first time, but he was like, "Yeah, you're in everything. Why wouldn't you?" The Irishman or Fargo? Fargo. Now, do you watch the Fargo TV series?
I've seen most of it. To be honest, I kind of checked out of the newest season with homeboy Chris Rock. He kind of wasn't for me, to be honest.
I didn't like. I tried to watch this new season, but I didn't. But the previous 3 were all very
good, man.
Yeah,
bangers.
Yeah, definitely. Then just like going there. Michael says Fargo.
I literally just showed him Fargo like last week.
All right. The Color of Money or Blade Runner 2049 with my future ex-wife, Ana de Armas. Yeah, I'm not saying that I would marry Ana de Armas, but if I was driving with my girlfriend and Ana de Armas was at a bus stop,
she'd pick her up.
She'd get the first. I'd tell my girl to get in the back seat so fast. Well, baby, that's Ana de Armas, baby. Come on.
What are you gonna do, man?
She can't do no wrong.
I gotta go Blade Runner. But Color of Money's a good movie. It's actually something I want to rewatch because you've seen Color of Money. You've seen Color of Money.
Yeah. I mean, Paul Newman. You can't go wrong with Paul Newman. Yeah. Tom Cruise at his peak, really, and it's just like
before he was an action star.
Yeah, before he was running and riding a motorcycle in every movie.
Yeah, because he's an incredible dramatic actor, man. Like he needs to go back to some of that, I think.
All right, here's my my hot take. A movie that I didn't put on here, but most of the stuff that I love, Paul Thomas Anderson, The Master, There Will Be Blood, Boogie Nights, even though it's a bit, but I can't stand Magnolia.
Okay, interesting. I
can't get into Magnolia, dude. Like I feel it's too him. It's like, you know, like Wes Anderson's too. Wes Anderson, sometimes it's like it's too much, man. Like it's almost how I felt about like a movie like Go after you know, when all these like backwards, you know, reverse kind of Pulp Fictionist movies started coming out. And you're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I felt like Magnolia is, even though it came early in his filmography, it felt like a movie that he would have made after he was already like super established. Like it felt like too much power too soon. Like Hard 8 was a hit. This was a hit. You get to make another movie.
Like his third movie, actually.
Yeah. You get to make number 3. What are you gonna do? Yeah, because it was Hard 8, Boogie Nights, and then Magnolia. So it's like Boogie Nights was a hit. We love Hard 8, indie style. You get to do. Tom Cruise said, "Oh yeah, fuck it, let's do it. Let's just get everybody in this fucking movie." I felt like it's just it was too much power too soon, and it's a big cluttered mess.
I haven't rewatched it recently. I really like it, but I don't disagree with you. And you know what's funny is that I don't think he would disagree with you either, because I saw something like that recent or not that long ago, where PTA was talking about how he's like, Magnolia is too long. It's too long. He's like, you should only be making 2-hour movies. Like, oh, all right. And I think it makes sense though. Like it kind of makes sense that he made that early on, because he was just like, oh, I have the power, I have the money. I'm gonna indulge, like you said, indulge in those things that I like, that I want to do, because it's like Boogie Nights, but fucking
it's like
coke.
Yeah, it was Boogie Nights. It was Boogie Nights, but it was like, you know what it was, and I think Boogie Nights is sort of Goodfellas, right? In essence, and this could be like Boogie Nights meets like Pulp Fiction or something like that, because he tried to add, he had a lot of Tarantino-ish flair and a little and a lot of Scorsese, and then he was like, fuck it, I get to do. He was probably thinking about that for a long time, you know. All right. Anyway, that was my hot PTA take. Bring Out the Dead, Nick Cage, Scorsese, one of his non-gangster sort of more character-driven pieces, or, and this is I think the definition of the quintessential modern Western, and probably a top 3 movie on any list that I ever make, Heat. Michael Mann at the fucking peak of his powers.
Yeah, absolute peak. Fucking love Heat. One of my favorites. Bringing Out the Dead is a movie that I think I watched a lot later for being a Scorsese film. It's pretty, I feel like it's pretty underseen, and I don't think a lot of people know about it, but it's actually a really, really good movie, really strong. But I have to go Heat.
You gotta go Heat. You gotta go Heat.
It's the fucking shootout, man.
Just the shootout. You know what I love I love when directors feel themselves and just do these very intricate like transition pieces. There's a scene where right before they get coffee and it's like, fuck, this the scene that everybody's been waiting for this for fucking years. Tarantino and Pacino in the fucking booth together. Boom. They get in the ring. And right before that, where he gets dropped off with the helicopter, he takes the guy's car and he's just like fucking zooming through traffic in LA.
Yeah.
And the fucking score is just fucking pounding, and the fucking car is just fucking passing cars, and it's the LA and it's the fucking freeway. Dude, I get dizzy. I get high thinking about being able to be a filmmaker and creating something like that. And just being like, yeah, and then let's shut down the fucking freeway. Let's fucking do it. Like,
100%. Yeah.
Like that, and like Terrence Malick saying, we're gonna shoot the Thin Red Line in sequence. I'm sorry, what? No, I want to shoot it in sequence. Man, that's gonna cost like a lot of money. I made Badlands, motherfucker. I'm Terrence fucking Malick. You want me to come out of retirement to do this WW2 piece? We're shooting it in fucking sequence. The man, he must have like just giant to do something like that.
See, these are great examples, what you're talking about, of that kind of movie that a filmmaker gets to make versus like Magnolia that we were just talking about, where they had just the right amount of power and control over everything and idea, this overarching idea of what the movie's going to be, and confidence, right? Where Magnolia maybe he came in too confident because he is a little unwieldy.
Yeah, he came in hot. He came in hot. He had all the toys. He tried to bust out all the moves. you can't sustain that level of anxiousness and pace.
Oh, for 3 hours. Yeah, I was just like, shit.
For 3 hours. Like, that's a physically exhausting film to watch, to keep
I
track
agree.
of, and to keep
Yeah.
up with the pacing. Like,
I think it's worth
like,
it, but I agree with you.
no, I didn't like it when I first watched it, and I was like, I'm supposed to be impressed by this, but then I went back and I was like, let me give it another chance here. 15 years later, let me check it out, and I was like, no, I still don't like Magnolia. I can't. I was
give it a shot.
like for me, it's There Will Be Blood, The Master, Boogie Nights, and then after that, it's Magnolia is way at the bottom for me. All right, The Last Temptation. William Dafoe crushing it in Spider-Man, but he's been around forever. Or No Country for Old Men, another Coen's brother movie where they don't give you the ending that you want or the resolution that they want because fuck you.
Yeah, which I love. I had to go No Country, and it's in part because of that. What you're referring to. I love that brothers.
That and if you guys haven't seen it, Serious Man also. No resolution for you. Like this is where we get off.
Last Temptation, really interesting movie though.
Last Temptation, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, Scorsese's done it all. Cape Fear, where he got his long dissolves rocks off, or Escape from New York.
I gotta go with my boy Snake Plissken.
Escape.
Yep.
Here's a funny one.
Great Cape Fear though. What's the bottom? I can't see the bottom.
Let me get us out of this view then here. We got Kundun.
Oh, shit.
Or Dune. It's a Kundun Dune.
I don't remember Kundun. I have to rewatch it. So because of that, I'm just gonna go Dune. But
I just remember from The Sopranos where they saw Scorsese and he's like, Kundun. I liked it. You see Scorsese, he's like, "Hey, Kundun."
I remember that.
All right, and then
Scorsese. Dune was fucking great though.
And then I know you're a Clint guys, and obviously you could have put a fistful of dollars here, or The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, but for me, it's The Outlaw Josie Wales. For me, it's the out. I didn't even know that was there, but for me, out of all his westerns, my favorite is The Outlaw Josie Wales, and this is a fucking heavyweight matchup here because it's going up against Taxi Driver.
Might be the most painful one.
Yeah, this could be a final.
I feel like if we're going personal level, Taxi Driver edges it out just because of when I saw it, like when I came to it, and the fact that I keep coming back to it. But yeah,
your whole aesthetic is
love Josie Wales,
your whole aesthetic is like the hat and the thing.
Yeah, but I'm going Taxi Driver, man.
Is that Dune 84 or Dune 2021? Is that David Lynch?
You smart ass.
Of course, it's David Lynch's one. Which one else would we talking about?
Hey, really?
No, I'm just kidding. You going Taxi Driver?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so the Taxi Driver edges The Outlaw Josie Wales in an upset. That's a good.
I'm like bleeding out right now. Okay,
that was a deep one. I know that was tough for you to do. Let's take a breather there. Thank you for everybody that's tuning in. We're live with Marco. We're almost done here with the bracket bid. Then he's got a couple of things for me, and then we'll wrap it up. I appreciate everybody that's stopping by, commented. Make sure you leave a like on the stream. Make sure that if you aren't already. My name is Lou Martinez. I'm a filmmaker, podcaster. We create content on 2amburrito.com. We do feature films and all that. You can go on 2amburrito.com and just find me anywhere that you get stuff, podcast, by looking for 2AM Burrito Podcast or 2AM Burrito on Twitch, YouTube, etc. Special thanks to Mr. Mike Snow, who does my beats at the end, Kirk Griwan, who does our music, Marco Westwood Gonzales here, our guest for the day. We're in the middle of the bracket bit. Moving on to the next round. Goodfellas or Aviator? Scorsese versus Scorsese.
Goodfellas.
Halloween or The Big Lebowski?
Halloween.
Oof. I would have gone Lebowski there. He's staying true to the Carpenter roots. Arrival or The Wolf of Wall Street. This is a tough fucking bracket here.
Yeah, it's tough. At the same time, I'm like, I know which one I kind of prefer. Which ones I kind of prefer. Arrival.
Mean Streets or Casino. More Scorsese on Scorsese violence. This is a tough one for me.
Yeah, those are both gangster movies too.
Casino is Scorsese at his peak in terms of just mastering it and just the look of it. Mean Streets is Scorsese at his most rugged.
Yeah, that's
at his most guttural.
I mean, it's his first gangster movie, so yeah, it's pretty interesting.
I mean, it was his practice for Taxi Driver, right? Wasn't it? You know,
pretty much. Shit, I mean, they're both essential.
And also one of my favorite Pacino performances.
Pacino?
He didn't get to play. De Niro. He didn't get to play a scumbag that often.
Which one though?
In Mean
Casino?
Streets.
Oh, Mean Streets. Yeah, I like that he comes in and he's the supporting character. That was his first time working with Scorsese.
Yeah. And he's playing like he's playing like just like a character, like a scumbag. He's not like the lead. He's just a fucking guy, and he kills it.
Yeah. I feel like Mean Streets is the essential because Casino, he'd already did it with Goodfellas.
Yeah.
I love Casino, but it's like take two, right? It's like he's doing it again in a way. Even so much as having De Niro and Pesci again. So I'm with Mean Streets.
The Thing or Fargo?
The Thing.
The Thing is just rolling through here. Blade Runner 2049 or Heat?
2049, beautiful movie. One of the best sequels. But let's go Heat.
Yeah, this is where I tell Anna de Armas, get the fuck out the car. It's Heat.
Sorry, yeah, it's the boys' time now.
Sorry. No Country for Old Men or Escape from New York?
No Country.
Dune or Taxi Driver?
Taxi Driver.
Or No Country for Old Men?
Oh, shit.
Final 8.
Taxi.
Here's where I think our brackets would diverge.
Yeah.
Because I think Heat for me beats The Thing, and it's a tough competition. But I don't know if it's as important to you as it is currently as a filmmaker. I think it's a tough matchup. But The Thing or Heat?
They're close in a lot of ways, man. Honestly, because I love Michael Mann too. Like I started watching a lot of his previous. I love Collateral, also one of the best Tom Cruise performances. But his older works too, like Still Live and Die in L.A. No, Manhunter, Thief. If you've seen those are great.
Manhunter, Thief, yeah, absolutely.
Fucking awesome. Go The Thing, dude.
That Thing moves on. Arrival or Mean Streets?
That's so hard because it's like, because like I said, modern sci-fi classic, right? And then the essential coming up. He's doing his thing. He's fucking brand new.
It's Guerrilla Scorsese.
Yeah, it's such a
just a scary thought.
Contrast. Shit, that one's tough. I don't know, man.
All right.
What do you mean?
Well, I think that I've watched Arrival more recently, and so it's fresher in my mind, and I'm impressed by it now as a current masterpiece. I feel like Scorsese. I think a lot of this depends on when you watch, in what order you watch people's films. Because let's say the first movie you watched was The Departed, or the first movie you watched was Cape Fear or something else. Like I think that matters in when you're a filmmaker and how you watch filmographies. Yeah, and not only that, to some degree, how that director is in his, because sometimes filmographies like Woody Allen's changes after the fact. Like Tarantino's another example. I think my respect for him as a filmmaker diminished a little bit over the years based on the stuff that he said publicly about certain stuff. And as I sort of looked deeper, there was a great thread on Twitter the other day about the anti-blackness in Pulp Fiction and breaking down everything from Ving Rhames getting raped to him putting himself in the film where he can say the N-word like continuously. And my writing partner is like, Tarantino wants to be black so bad. Like he wishes. And you can say a lot about him that he loved. Same thing you could say about us, that our movies are from a point of view of somebody who watches a lot of movies. So their dialogue is so there's homages, there's similarities, there's a lot of references to movies and pop culture and stuff like that. But you look at somebody's filmography after the fact, and based on what they are as a person, you sort of skew your thoughts. You know, like if you would have told me Pulp Fiction when I first saw it, I was like, man, that shit is the best. And now I still recognize it as a classic, but I look back at it with a more objective eye, and I'm like, Tarantino is like, I think he steers so hard into, I'm an artist. This is my art. I will do whatever the fuck I want, and I'm just gonna hide behind this art shield, and that's how. And I'm just gonna block everything. I'm just gonna block every attempt that you guys make to make me be self-reflective. I don't want to be self-reflective and think about why I've done stuff or why I put myself as a racist in every movie. I don't know. I don't want to be self-reflective on that. I just want you to admire me, look at my art, and don't question it. And I think he's a bit of an asshole in interviews for that reason. And I sort of but long way around basically saying that like Arrival as a movie that Denis Villeneuve's repertoire, and that this is him doing an excellent job versus Mean Streets. And I've known about Scorsese my whole life, and I saw Scorsese, and then when I went to film school, I watched Mean Streets, and it just blew me away with what he did with So Little and Harvey Keitel, and just the whole, and how simple it was, but how well made it was. And
it's just formative for us.
I'm sorry I went off on that Tarantino tangent, but I don't know how we got there. But either way,
I get you. So I had a professor, an English professor, who we talk about movies, and he told me, he's like, sometimes I love him, and sometimes I'm like, because he's very, of all the directors, he's up there. We're talking big egos. He's very masturbatory, right? In the sense that, like, I'll give you an example, like Hateful Eight. I like Hateful Eight. The part where his voice comes in when he starts narrating, I kind of hate it.
Yeah,
I kind of hate that. I'm like, don't pull me out of the movie like that.
I rewatched Death Proof the other day, and I felt like that one, he was like, he even like referenced, he's like, that is a tasty beverage or something like that. Like, and I was just like, man, just like stop sucking your own dick. When like I was just like, I was like, yeah, you're right. But I here, honestly, even though Arrival is a fucking sci-fi classic, I would lean Mean Streets.
I'm gonna go with Mean Streets as well.
Mean Streets. All right. And then there's another tough one: Goodfellas or Halloween.
Halloween, I mean, it's iconic, it's important, but Goodfellas is next to The Godfathers. It's one of the greatest gangster movies of all time.
And we have 3 Scorseses and 1 Carpenter in the ending. And I know how, and I specifically picked the movies from this bracket based on the directors that you said you had an interest in, etc. But 3 Scorseses, 1 Carpenter in this final 4. Mean Streets or Goodfellas as far as Scorsese goes?
I guess you got to go Goodfellas, right? So that's him at the beginning of his game, and that's him at the top of his game, making gangster movies. It's
and
the best version.
Taxi Driver,
yeah,
or The Thing.
I think now I've gotten to the point where I probably favor The Thing as a movie, as far as like I just love to put on and be entertained by. But Taxi Driver is still, it's so formative for me. So it's really hard. If I'm going with that though,
I think it was a little taxi driver if he was a vampire in Sunny, right?
He's got the jacket and everything, man. There's definitely, it's not just that though. It's how it gets in that character's head. You know, whether you think he's a good person or not, because ultimately, I don't know, he's somewhere in the middle. He's kind of fucked up.
And he did the anti-hero thing without making you root for him.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you don't realize that movie's so crazy because it pulls a trick on you, right? Like the first time you watch it, you're with Nero, of course. And you're like, oh, he's just a kind of loser down on his luck. And then you realize that he's got some underlying issues, man.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that even comes back to like Clint now, the short that I'm making, because Paul Schrader wrote it. And Schrader was very good about writing these lonely men who, you know, and getting in their heads and getting to the psychology of what makes them them. Taxi Driver.
Oh, we thought that the thing was going to pull it off, but Taxi Driver comes in at the last minute in Scorsese versus everyone.
Look at all my stab wounds, man.
In Scorsese versus everyone, Mr. Gonzales, you have answered every question. You have gone through the gauntlet of Scorsese versus everyone, made some tough choices. We had some interesting conversations around the way. It comes down to this. Take us through your thought process. Taxi Driver, Goodfellas. And what does the chat think? I mean, this is the final bracket. What do you think? Goodfellas or Taxi Driver?
Yeah, let's hear from the people.
Let's hear from the people. Or are you guys tuning out because Kundun didn't make it through?
Like,
I tuned out when no Kundun. Fuck this shit. Unsubscribe.
If I'm gonna just go for it, I'm gonna go Taxi Driver. I'm gonna go Taxi Driver, but
what am I, a clown?
What do I amuse you? Yeah, I think it just speaks to me in a different way, personally.
Taxi
not
Driver,
because I'm like secretly a racist who wants to go and free young hookers from their pimps, but just because of the way, like I said, the way it goes into the darkness and the psychology of that character, you know, it makes him feel so real. And Goodfellas is just such an entertaining fucking banger of a gangster movie.
You know what sort of changes Goodfellas for me a little bit is that what's the guy's name that the main character from Goodfellas?
The actor or the
No, not the actor, the actual
Henry
character's name. Oh yeah, Henry Hill.
Henry Hill, yeah.
Henry Hill, after he got out of witness protection, would go on the Howard Stern show all the time. And all these people would call in and be like, Henry, and they'd be like these Italian guys saying, we're still gonna kill you, and he'd be drunk off his ass, and they'd all be telling him like, you never killed nobody, Henry, you never did nothing, you were just a fucking delivery boy and this and that. So it's, if you ever get, just look up Henry Hill on Howard Stern, and he would just show up and be drunk off his ass and just be like talking shit. So that, after seeing him in person when his own ears, that's kind of like, so I think I would go Taxi Driver as well.
Okay, that's a fair reason.
But I think I would have definitely gone Heat over the Thing. And I think probably still Taxi Driver would have beat Heat as much as I love Heat. So I think we would probably gotten to the same place. But in Scorsese versus everyone, Taxi Driver.
As you said, he's God. You can't. What are you gonna do?
Marco, you said you had a couple of things for me. Your turn.
Well, yeah, I gotta go in the next few minutes, but
yeah, we're done. But I just wanted to give you a chance to say that.
I want to shout out your cool Rey Mysterio in the back. I was a big Rey Mysterio guy growing up.
This is just so you know, that ain't Rey Mysterio. That's your boy.
Really?
That's your boy Lou Martinez right there.
Oh shit.
That's me. Shout out to the homie Ian Tripp.
Is that drawn or?
No. It's my boy Ian Tripp. He's doing a movie called Sincerely Saul, and he hit me up and he's like, "I want you to play an ex luchador, Mighty Morphin Power Ranger kind of hybrid in this movie, and I had to go over there for like, I was like, cool, I get to go on set and not be in charge of everything. Fuck it. And so I shot up. They took a bunch of pictures, and then they did like a Comic-Con scene where this kid that's in the movie comes up to talk to me and shit like that. So they actually were so cool that they gave me a bunch of prints and shit that they had printed out as props. So
that's cool, man.
That's me. That's cool. Well, Mr. Marco, we'll let you go. I know that we said 90 minutes. We got to 2 hours. I hope. Sure. I think we had a fun ass chat here, talking about film. Everybody, go check out Mr. Westwood Films channel on the YouTube to follow up. They can also follow you on social media, right, Marco Westwood?
Yeah, Westwood Films. Just look for the same logo. I'm on Instagram, Twitter. I don't really use Twitter, but I'm on there.
You're on there as well?
And Facebook, yeah.
All right, and look for Clint coming out soon. And like I said, man, I appreciate that you came on. Like I said, I think we're similar in terms of our filmmaking styles. Yeah. And you know, I look forward to us both being hired to do like 2 episodes a piece of some HBO show here within the next couple of years. So we get a chance to work together on something. That'd be cool.
Yeah, man, I was going to say, like, the more I was looking at your work and realized the same thing that you're saying, that we're so similar in a lot of ways. And we're both SD people too. So that's cool. Yeah, I can't wait. I'd love to collaborate, man.
Yeah. Can I just ask you what did you get a chance to look at? Because I know you're busy and stuff like that.
What's that? Well, I've seen Blackworthy. Okay. And I've gone through the different shorts. I've seen your 48, because that was from the same year that we did ours, right? 2019.
Okay. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, mostly the shorts. I couldn't see the second feature. It's not up, right?
I'll send you a link. I'll send you a link to a couple of other things so you can check it out. Like I said, man, I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for everybody that commented and came in and participated. I appreciate everybody. Marco, do you want us to bring you up a California burrito this weekend?
You can't get them up here, man.
You got to recognize that the 2 a.m. burrito is a uniquely San Diego thing. And this is why, even though I'm from New York and Colombia, when I came here 20 years ago, I established myself here in San Diego. And that's the women, the weed, and the burritos. And at 2 in the morning, at 2 in the morning, when you're wrapping a movie, or you're coming from the club or the casino, you get a burrito. It's a San Diego thing. In LA, what do you get? You get tacos or hot dogs or chicken and waffles or something like that. Fuck all that. Give me a California, no pico.
100%.
Let's wrap it up. All right, Marco, I'm gonna let you go, brother. I appreciate your time. Thank you for everybody that stopped by today. Make sure that you guys follow this guy, Marco Westwood Gonzales, and we are out.
Thanks a lot, man.
Peace out, brother.
Thanks.